Hey, what's up guys, it's Mike with Alpha Reptile back with another video today, and today we are going to be taking this tank and turning it into this tank. If you're excited to see what we end up doing to this tank, which I'll explain in just a second, make sure you click the subscribe button and go follow me on Instagram. I keep you guys up to date there a lot as well, so you guys can go do 2 of those things. That certainly helps me out. Content will be coming at you guys faster and more furious. I believe it'll be last video when I'm filming this. There'll be a reptile room tour for you guys to check out. There'll be a morning gecko tank build soon. There'll be a bunch of new things coming to the channel. Definitely going to be pumping a lot of content out for you guys, so again, make sure you click that subscribe button and let's talk about this tank right here. I wanted to use this tank for something special. It's been probably 4 or 5 months since the passing of the chameleons, and this tank has just been sitting empty, so I finally feel good and like I'm not rushing into something, and I'm going to be filling it with a kind of dream list species, which most of you guys will not be able to guess. I won't be revealing it in this video, but you guys can definitely imagine what might be going in here. These lizards have been on my list for quite some time, and it's very kind of cryptic, not super colorful, random species that you guys might not expect. So without me blabbering much more, let's get into what we need to do to fix this thing up. So first things first is dealing with this top lid. We wrapped the lid in saran wrap for the chameleons that were in here just to hold in some humidity. Believe it or not, UVB does actually penetrate through the saran wrap, and with minimal UV filtering as well. So keep that in mind if you need some extra UVB in your tank. Got to rip this part all off, make sure it comes off clean, and there we go. Brand new top. Looking spiffy. I didn't film it, but I did end up rewrapping the film around because the new species that are going in here do require some humidity, so it's time to start destroying the tank. First things first, gotta get rid of this big ficus that's right in the middle of the tank. It is pretty cool and it would probably work for the new inhabitants, but unfortunately it doesn't really fit in with the plans. I am trying to preserve as much of the root system as I can because we actually used it for the tank to the right of this for the boega that lives in there. Most of the remaining things in the tank, besides that big lipstick vine, is actually dead, so this was a banana shrub. It is no longer, so it must be removed. I was trying to be kind of delicate as to not break the rest of the branches that were already placed and foamed into the tank, but that came out pretty nicely, thankfully. And now there's a couple deceased Bromeliads that are well past their time to come out. So we got one in that corner and one in the other corner as well. There is a giant lipstick vine, and most of that we ended up taking out. I did actually end up cutting it and moving it to some of the other tanks that were around the room. It has lived out its day in this tank, and there's still a little bit remaining that you can't really even see in the finished product. I also took out a handful of the Peperomia Prostrato. It really wasn't doing very well in here, so it's time to be moved on to probably a dart frog tank at the end of the day. Maneuvering this vine around whilst not trying to break it was a good time. And just going through the leaf litter, taking out whatever leftover prostratos in there. And I had another flavor of peperomia. Can't remember what the species was. So just taking out little bits and bobs here and there. And then finishing it off with removing a giant pile of all the debris and dead leaves and twigs and whatnot. Here I'm just kind of assessing the soil, seeing what components are still in there, what components I might need to add for these new additions, And after going through it a little bit, mixing things up, there's a lot of dead leaves still on the surface, so I mixed those into the substrate. Now it was time to add the Tropica Aquarium Soil. You can already see some in the tank there. This is basically just a nutrient-dense planted tank substrate that I like to add to my terrariums because it does add quite a lot of nutrients to the soil. Some of the plants that I'm going to be planting in here and that you're going to see shortly do require some decent nutrients. And now that I've added it to the tank, what we can do is just hand mix it into the soil, making sure to not bother the leftover lipstick vine. And I think if you look to the right of your screen, there's actually a coffee plant in there as well. So we'll see if that comes back in this new build. My hopes aren't high though. Now that that's all mixed in, we can move on to the fun part, and that is assessing what new branches I want to add, because there just isn't quite enough in here for the animals that I'm looking to add. At first, I started off with some manzanita, and it was quickly pointed out by my girlfriend that it looks kind of silly in there with all the natural, whatever, wild branches that we found outside. It just looks a little bit out of place. So what I ended up doing was actually going out into the backyard, finding a dead tree, and cutting off some limbs for it. I didn't bake the branches or anything of the sort. The animals that are going into this tank are from Malaysia and Southeast Asia, so little hint for you guys that it might be guessing in the comments. I highly doubt there'll be any diseases or anything like that that can pass from the wood into these animals that aren't anywhere near native. Now I'm just finishing up situating the branch that I've been trying to mess around with for a few minutes here, and just about there. I wanted the branch to come to the very front of the tank and moderately high because I knew I was going to put a basking bulb on the branch, not only for heat but also for UVB. The UV radiation hits that branch fairly nicely at a UVI of about 2 to 3 depending on where they're sitting. But now it's the fun time. It's planting time. I started off my planting by digging a hole in the very back corner because I went out prior to and bought some nice sweet grass, it's called. I was told by my horticulturalist buddy, Mr. Vivarium, here on YouTube or Instagram, this is actually an annual grass, so it might die back. With hindsight, I'm a little disappointed, but oh well, hopefully, or maybe I can get it to grow all year round. We'll have to see what happens here. Just get that nice and situated. Also, you know, focus. Who needs focus, right? You guys can still see what I'm doing. In addition to this grass, I also added a small spider plant in the front right-hand corner. I didn't actually end up filming it, even though I thought I did, but I clicked the record button twice, so it stopped recording. It's just one of the green spider plants that you'll see later. It doesn't have that weird variegation that kind of takes away and makes the plant more of a highlight. It really does accentuate the lizards that are in here now. We had those kind of weird, ugly mounds in the back, and what I ended up doing was pinning some sphagnum moss to them so that way they could support some epiphytic life. Mostly aeroids is what we ended up planting in here, and you'll see that in just a moment. But I did it on both of the corners, on the left side that you can see right now, and on the right side that I don't think I ended up showing. And now that you have the basic idea of what we're doing here, I'm just going to kick it into a time lapse and we can check out the finished product. Alright guys, so you can see the tank behind me. It's pretty much done. You can see it's mostly done. The last few things that I'm going to do, I'm not actually going to film because it's just adding springtails, isopods, and then some leaf litter. I'm just going to go ahead and add those things to the tank right now. Alrighty, and as you guys can see, this is the final setup for now. I'll probably continue to try and find some different plants and such for the tank itself. I know these will grow in, but, or hopefully they will. There's a couple questionable ones, like that one broadleaf philodendron in the back there. I'm a little worried about. It's kind of an experimentation to see how it does in a tank like this. It is a brand new philodendron to me, so I guess we'll see how it does. Other things in here, like the spider plant, the grass, I'm hoping does well. I might need to add a little bit more light for the grass, but other than that, everything else should check out and be okay. So that is the final setup. I'm going to add a heat light later, and there is UVB already on the tank. They're just mounted up top there. Alright guys, that is the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed the revamping of this former chameleon tank. Please remember to leave in the comments down below what you think, what mystery lizard is going in here. Hint, it is a trio. So a trio of a certain kind of lizard is going in this tank. There should be some hints with the selection of plants, and I think that might have been too big of a hint, but if you get it, good job. You guys will see it in another video where I add them to the tank. But I want to thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed this creation of this tank, please leave a like down below. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section. If you want to see more build videos, a reptile room tour that would have just been posted, make sure you click that subscribe button. That way you get notified every single time I post a video. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you have a good one. We'll catch you later.